Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders, both past and present. My name's Daddo.
I'm Daddo, and Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Ding, 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 all that stuff.
All right.
Are you exhausted from your huge night?
Huge.
Because you went off.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, just massive. I haven't seen you go off like that for 25 years.
So off, in bed by 9. No, I wasn't in bed by 9, but close to it. 2024, it's here. Yeah. I actually like those numbers. I always like an even number year. The odd number years always go, it's not my fave. But 2024 has got a beautiful ring to it.
Yeah, it does, actually. And it's an Olympic year, so
yeah, we love that.
That's happening. So
4 is my favourite number, so it ends in a 4, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we got to talk to a lot of amazing couples in the last 12 months. And the first question we always ask them when they come on is, how did they meet?
Yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, I gave the crown of best first meeting story. And look, there's been many, and it was hard to choose.
It was a big call.
It was a big call.
Because, but
it was,
I didn't realise we were having a crown story, or that there's someone was actually going to achieve that.
Well,
pinnacle.
I mean, they didn't get an award or anything, but I just, in that moment, it had all the elements that I love, so many elements that I just had to crown for that year. And of course, we're talking about Heather Mitchell and Marty McGrath.
We've had a lot of other wonderful stories, and this week we wanted to look back at some of our favourites.
Now, up first, you know him from Human Nature, and he took home the Mirror Ball on 2023 Dancing with the Stars. It's Phil Burton and Justine Smith. I actually want to take us way, way, way back to your first meeting. How did you two first meet?
Oh. It's a meet cute. It really is.
It is a very cute story. I was on holidays. I can go right back and I'll tell you all of the details.
What do you want to know?
I had a girlfriend who we broke up a couple of days before Christmas one year. And we had actually booked a trip to Byron Bay together, just like a 3 or 4 day break. We'd booked a motel room up there to happen just after New Year. Anyway, we broke up and I thought there's no way, I couldn't get the deposit back. So I thought I'm going to continue on the holiday anyway. So one of my best mates, I called him up and said, hey, do you want to go to Byron Bay for a few days? And yeah, he was happy to. So 2nd of January, we jumped in the Daihatsu Charade and drove from Sydney to Byron Bay.
Into your single room that you'd ordered with your ex-girlfriend.
Well, we actually
with
had
the champagne and the rose petals
top
on the
and tail
bed.
with your mate.
It had 2 beds, thank goodness. It did have 2 beds, so we were okay with that. Good. But we were up there for the 4 days, and after the 4 days, we thought, this is too nice. We can't go home now. So we went to the local camping store and went halves in a tent, and bought the tent and put it up at the Byron Bay Arts Factory camping ground. The second night of camping, or the second day, I walked onto the beach and saw Justine with her friends on the beach.
Because, meanwhile, on the other side of the fence, I'd called off a wedding.
No.
And had been, I think I'd been single for coming up to about 18 months at that point. And it was exciting because, well over it by then. Yeah. And so my friends and I, we were like, we're going to go to Byron Bay. So my friend and I literally got packed into the back of the VW Golf because there was so much luggage for the 4 of us because we were going for a week. You need a lot of luggage. And I remember very distinctly, because I had things all around me, just spending a lot of time looking out the window thinking how happy I was to be single. So second day we were there.
The universe laughs.
Second day we were there. It was really hot. And so we went, okay, we're going to have to. We'd been to the beach in the morning and had to go back to the beach in the afternoon. So, yes, I was there with 3 of my closest friends and...
Yeah, I walked onto the beach and saw the 4 girls on the beach and particularly just looked at Justine and thought, oh, my God, she's gorgeous. I actually thought she might have been South American or something like that because back then she had quite dark hair, or I think it was pretty close to black, and she had the tan going on, and she looked kind of she might be Brazilian.
He was expecting, hello, baby, how are you? And instead it was, hi, how are you?
I'm from Belrose.
Yeah, but
No worse, Narrabeen.
Narrabeen, she's from Narrabeen. So
Beautiful. Northern Beaches.
Northern
set
Beaches.
up- yeah.
Get it on.
I set my towel up on the beach, like maybe 20 metres away, and just, I didn't stalk, but
Yeah,
I
you
thought,
did.
it was kind of, I guess. I just kept looking over
Just
and
sat
thinking,
and looked.
I just wasn't brave enough to approach her when she was there with 3 other women.
Were you
So I
already
thought,
in a
that's
band
scary.
and having success at
Yes,
this point?
yeah,
and
I
all
was.
That? Yeah.
And funnily enough, Justine pretended when I finally did pluck up the courage to go and say hello, she pretended she didn't know who I was. But apparently 45 minutes earlier when I walked past them, all 4 of them looked at me and went, oh, look, there's one of the guys from Human Nature. So she knew exactly who I was,
so
and
can
she
I-
played it. She,
And were you in
she was
Speedos
coy.
or were you in shorts?
Oh, was he in Speedos? Oh, my God.
I was in
Okay,
Speedos,
so
yeah,
he
but-
was the shy and
Oh, and a
retiring.
sarong. I had a sarong around me.
even
I went
better.
full Byron Bay.
I like
yeah.
a sarong on a
Yes.
fellow, actually.
The
Well,
songs
he
are
was
cool.
the shy and retiring type, and he had black Speedos that had written in large fluorescent green letters across his bum the word spank.
Spank.
So,
Wow.
you know,
So did
he
you-
wasn't
did
trying
you-
to attract attention or
Okay.
anything like that.
So did you oblige?
No.
Eventually. Eventually,
no,
maybe
yeah,
a
it took a
couple
while.
of weeks later.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a memory. You will never forget that outfit, Justine,
No, I
will
will
you?
not. I will not. But I was sort of looking at him and I was thinking, oh, he's so cute.
Yeah.
And I caught him looking at me a couple of times. And look, I knew I was onto a good thing because I had no makeup, wet hair, and a swimming cozy. It was never going to get worse than that. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
I was onto a good thing. But he sort of disappeared and I was like, oh, because I was not brave enough to go and approach him. But he disappeared and then 2 of my friends said, we're going to go back to the room and start getting dinner ready because we had plans to go to the beach hotel or whatever it's called.
The beach hotel.
And anyway, I was, you know, my friend was chatting to me about this boy that she wasn't sure about, all this sort of stuff. So I was sort of, yes. Anyway, he reappeared and my friend was elbowing me and he said, oh, I was watching you before and I was trying to think of something witty or intelligent I could come over and say
Great
to you.
approach.
Yeah. But I couldn't think of anything, so I thought I'd just come and say hi. And I was instantly charmed.
Oh,
So I said,
Absolutely.
he's played I Have No Game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was my game.
Which is
my
so
game was
charming.
no game.
Yeah.
It was.
I was instantly charmed.
I was just lucky that 2 of the friends left because I thought the odds were better at 2 versus 1 than they
Right.
were at 4 versus 1. Otherwise, I may never have approached her at all.
Yeah, right.
They were so good. I still have to call him for golf. I feel bad about it. I should have invited him actually to the Long Reef Masters.
I remember I said that. You didn't invite him.
Yeah. I'll get to it though.
Yeah.
We're going to do it this summer. Spank. Who put Spank on Speedos?
I mean, honestly.
I've heard of other spanking of Speedos, but Spank on Speedos is unforgettable. I was about to say unforgivable, but hey, it's Phil.
I know, but it seems like in meeting him when they came into the bathroom, I would never have thought that he would do something like that. But, you know, who knows? That was a while ago, so he might have been a different guy back
but
in the day.
that's why he's a superstar, because he's unpredictable.
There you go.
You know, he's just got that edge. He's out there. You just don't know what he's going to do next, which I love about
Such
it.
a great couple. The next story we're going to revisit is from Sean and Josh Szeps.
They were fantastic. I've actually listened to Josh quite a bit on ABC radio
Yeah.
since we had him in.
Yep.
And he's a delight to listen to. He's so easy to listen to and intelligent. I mean, he's gone one-on-one and taken, what's that guy's name in America? Who's
Joe
Joe
Rogan?
Rogan.
Yes.
He goes toe-to-toe with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You know, the man is
He's smart.
yeah.
And then you've got Sean, who is just absolutely hilarious.
right there with him.
Yeah, oh, totally. And in his own way. You
Yeah.
have to be smart to be funny. And Sean is very funny, as his Instagram will show.
Here's Sean and Josh.
How and where did you two meet?
Who wants to take it?
Well, I was living in New York. I spent most of my professional life in New York, and I was working in broadcasting over there. And Sean was
In
visiting.
college? Yeah.
Had just graduated, I guess, and was visiting from New England, where he lived, and he was just about to move to New York. And I was playing wingman to my roommate. She was going out with some friends to a very trashy bar, a very trashy gay bar called the Ritz.
Ironically.
Yeah, the Ritz. Yeah, that's right, putting on.
Putting out.
And we met in all beautiful love stories, like in the bathroom line. Oh, so romantic. Can't wait to tell the kids about it.
And I was there. I could have not been there because my friend was like, "Oh, I don't really want to go. Can you just come and just support me?" And so I went grudgingly. And then, while waiting to take a leak, Sean was there, wearing what I think you thought was a fashionable.
It was
accessory.
very
I
fashionable.
eventually thought-
It was like a red beanie, which back in the day, very grimy, grungy chic off the back of my head. I was sure I was just the moment. And I see this hot man walking towards me with piercing blue eyes, and I smile thinking like, this is the moment. And he goes, Santa Claus called. He wants his hat back.
No, was that the opening line?
It was the opening line.
And my opening line. Exactly. It worked out.
Santa Claus.
That's
And what did you say?
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
I said, fuck you. And he kept walking away into the abyss.
And did you like that bit of chutzpah from him? So you went,
Yeah, that was good.
actually.
And then I came. Then I mean, wasn't that huge a bar. You knew you were going to bump into. I knew I was going to bump into him again. And then next time I saw him, he'd taken his hat off.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, don't do that." I mean, I said, "You're not from New York, are you?" And he said, "No." And I was like, "If you were from New York, you don't take your hat off when someone insults you.
Okay.
You leave it on.
Pull it down deeper.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. You go out and you buy a larger, even brighter red, even more ridiculous Santa hat.
Yeah.
So then we got to conversing, and he managed to glean also that I too was not from New York.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. He thought I was from England.
I was sure of it.
Really?
I feel like back then, Australia was not as hot as it is today as far as cultural references. Today, every American can name, 10, 15 famous Aussies?
Right. Yeah.
Back then, my reference point was Crocodile Dundee.
So what are you talking?
Well, it's not that long.
Sorry.
Exactly. That's
12 years ago.
Come on. This was
Make
2011.
story,
Sean,
Josh.
the problem is you were a child who knew nothing outside
Margot
of New
Robbie,
England.
no one. The Hot Boys from Byron, no, they were nobodies.
Oh yeah, but what?
Yeah, but
year
we
was
had
it?
Steve 2011.
Nicole
So we'd
Kidman,
had-
popular, but we didn't know she had an accent. She didn't do all those interviews all the
That's right,
time.
She did a lot of American accents.
We
in
had
the
Kate
films too.
Blanchett. We had Rachel Ward.
Never
we
heard of
had
them.
Brian Brown.
Brian Brown.
I thought, South African or British.
There you go.
So, was it the accents that were the attraction? You mentioned blue eyes and a man coming towards you.
The accent was definitely helpful, but really the sense of humor. I'm always a bit of a masochist. Like if you're going to pretend you don't like me or you're uninterested or you're a smart ass, I'm absolutely like zeroed in.
Yeah, right.
His sense of humor has always been stand-up comedy level, like boom, 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 fast, sharp, tight. Someone who can like rip you open with a wink and a smile. And I just thought, I mean, come on, what's not to love
Also,
about that?
I wasn't really looking for anything. I wasn't looking, and like we're almost a decade apart age-wise, and I was like, I mean, I'm over people. I don't want people. I'm happy being alone. I like being alone. I don't want another person in my life telling me what to do. So I think there was probably a little bit of that energy, and Sean was incredibly hot and very cute and like very charming and funny as well.
Yeah.
And when we caught up again, then he also has an amazing emotional intelligence, and so was much more mature than most of the people. And maybe it has something to do with living in a big city and not living in a big city or something. But Sean had a very down to earth, salt of the earth kind of emotional wisdom and connectedness that quickly came through that other people who are in New York who I'd sort of been occasionally dating didn't have. They were a bit more fly by night and a bit more ambitious and a bit more sort of less level headed, more flighty. And yeah, so I think we hit it off.
Oh my gosh, they are so funny, those two.
Love how they bounce. They just bounce off each other.
And that was just a snippet. Like there's so many more stories that they've got.
Well, okay. One of our wildest first date stories this year came from a pair of experts who are husband and wife. Check this out. Paul and Carly Taylor. How did you guys meet?
Do you want to
Oh, I
kick
like
that
that
off,
little
Carly?
Yeah, and the reason I said aha is because the story of how we met is actually we have different stories. So, so the first time we met, we were both backpacking in Ecuador, and we were in this little town called Vilcabamba, which is on the border of Ecuador and Peru. Wow. And we were both staying in this hostel at the same time. And they had this tiny little room with 2 computers where you could, that was the internet room. And I went in there to check my Gmail, and he was sitting on the computer next to me, and it was really slow. I don't know. I think it might have even been dial-up. This is
it was dial-up.
2001, yeah. So I turned to look at him and say something to just say, geez, the internet's really slow today, something like that. And he turned and looked at me, and I just saw these blue eyes and was like, oh, this is interesting. And so we ended up, we had, he was traveling with this Irish guy who we just met in Ecuador, and I was traveling with an English girl who I had just met, but we were both traveling solo. But we were both going to be in Quito at the same time that weekend, so we organised to meet up then. And I mean, my story, I guess, is not as interesting as Paul's, but we ended up going out. We met at a pub. We ended up going out dancing. We were out till 3 a.m. And then I'm going to hand it over to Paul because his story is very different.
Okay.
Yes. So when we had arranged to meet, Carly told me the hostel she was going to be in, and I was an inverted snob at the time when it comes to travel, and I was like, I don't book, so just freewheel. I was in the forces at the time, so I like to go to third world countries and just have the randomness, right? So I didn't book ahead. Went to try and get into her hostel, and it was full, so I went down the road. So anyway, we went out, and I remember we're at we'd had dinner, and they were sitting at the bar, and I was thinking, oh, this is going pretty well. Yeah, she's very cute. And then the next thing, I was sitting bolt upright on the end of my bed, and it was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I had no clue what happened. I could remember clear as day up until about 9 o'clock, 9:30, and then nothing.
What did you do to him, Carly?
Is that excuse still working for you? I can't believe, Carly, you're still letting him get away with, I can't remember. I was drunk. I don't remember.
I think
Wait, let him keep going.
I think she might have had some Rehypnol up her sleeve. But anyway, so the next thing, so I looked at the clock and I'm like, shit, I'm going to miss my flight. So I jumped up and I grabbed my stuff and went to check my pockets for everything, and nothing was in there, which was weird because I carried my passport and my money and my flight ticket in my pocket. And so I started looking around the room, frantically pulling stuff out of the bag, and then I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was completely covered in blood. Like my head was completely soaked. My T-shirt was soaked in blood. I couldn't see a single square centimetre of flesh that wasn't covered in blood. And
it's like a nightmare.
I had 4 massive gashes on my head, 2 on the front and 1 on the back.
Still got the scars.
I still got a few scars, and then I realised, bloody hell, I've been mugged. But I was panicking because I was going to be AWOL from the armed forces. And there was a bit of a backstory. I'd been to South America 6 months before, got Guardia, and got in the shit with my boss. And he said to me, if you get in trouble, do not come back. Right? So I have this ringing in my head.
Right.
I'm like, I need to get to the airport. So I ran out into the street and I'm trying to flag a taxi down.
Still bloodied?
And there were taxis are still bloodied, right? Completely covered. And they were driving past and I'm going, you buggers, why won't you stop? And then I kind of came to. I was obviously concussed and I'm like, hold on a minute, you look like an axe murderer. And if somebody stops, you've got no money. And if you manage to convince them to take you to the airport, you've got no passport, you've got no flight ticket. So Carly, and then I'm like, and you've just checked out of your hotel. Well done. So I thought, well, the only person I know in Ecuador is Carly, other than Giovanni, who's Italian, not Irish, but he was on the coast at this stage. So I went to her hostel and was trying to tell the guy to open her, to knock on her door, and he was this little Ecuadorian guy who was like, "Who is this lunatic?"
Yes.
So I managed to convince him to go to Carly's door, and he knocked on her door, and she kind of came out and went, "Oh my God." And I remember she grabbed me and she kissed me, and I went, "That's a bit fresh."
I'd like gently.
Well, you kind of gently held me, and she kissed me, and I thought, "Oh, that's a bit fresh," because I had no recollection of anything, right? And so anyway, she brought me into her room, she cleaned me up and stuff like that, and then said, "I've just got to go now because I've got to go down a volcano on a bicycle, so I'll see you later." So she left me there to die, basically.
I mean, you can't make that stuff up, right? That is movie stuff. Like, that is what you'd write in a script.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should write the script and send it to them and go, "Hey, guys,
Inspired
this
by
is
you."
inspired by.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, to finish this off, we've got an incredible tale of love at first sight.
As soon as we started talking to Meredith, Gaston, Masnata, and Roberto Masnata, we could tell that they were the dictionary definition of soulmates.
Yeah. Since we spoke to them in April, Meredith and Roberto have welcomed daughter. What a beautiful name, and it's so indicative of who they are.
So them.
Imperia.
Imperial.
Have you ever heard that name before for a person?
I've not, and I know I forget what it means, but she wrote it on her Instagram. I sent them a little gift from
Did you?
us. I did a little outfit for Imperia. Yeah.
Did you make it?
No, I didn't make it.
That
I wish
surprises
I
me.
actually started knitting it, and then I realized I was running out of time. The baby was going to be 2 years old by the time I got it to them, and I went, "No, Ali, just go get them something and send it." So I did.
All right. Well, we're wasting no more time. Let's get to Meredith and Roberto. Hey, we need some backstory. We need some context here. How did you guys meet?
Oh, wow. Well, a few years ago, I used to rent a little part of my property. Actually not rent it, Airbnb it. And generally, I never got to meet anyone that came to stay. You had the key code and just come and go, and even the dog wasn't interested. And this one day though, speaking of the dog, I was just heading home from having been on a dog walk with him, and we're heading up our stairs. And our property has a lot of steps. There are about 90 steps to the top of the house from the street level. We're about halfway up, and I heard a car doing a bit of because we're at a dead end, doing a few turns, and I looked down, and just as I looked down, I could see this lady wind her window down and look at me and say, "Roberto." And the most incredible thing, we locked eyes, and even though it was about easy 20, 30 metres away, it was like we were just inches away.
No.
There was this sense of recognition. And it's like, I know you, but how do I know you? And I made my way down, and lo and behold, Meredith was looking to find a park, because she was staying the night. But I'll let Meredith elaborate a bit more on that.
Yeah, take it from
the
there,
reasons why
Meredith.
she was
Oh,
coming.
my goodness. Wow.
Good beginning. I love it.
Oh, I'm feeling all the feelings again. I'm in my seat. It's the hot seat. No, so, that is absolutely exactly what happened. I had to give a talk in Brisbane, and I was at the time living on the Sunshine Coast, and friends said, Monday morning, don't drive down. Why don't you go and find an Airbnb, relax on Sunday night? And so I was looking for an Airbnb in very, very close to the location at which I was going to be talking. But the only Airbnb that would come up was Roberto's. Like, I somehow couldn't click off it. It was just the most bizarre
Which
kind of
is nowhere
glitch
near
in the
which you needed to
system.
be.
It was nowhere near where I was talking.
Right.
It wasn't even in the zone. And I was at it was a very
in the Twilight Zone.
spontaneous, in the Twilight Zone. It was a somewhat spontaneous booking, I think, the night before. And I just thought, I'm just going to take it because this property looks beautiful. It was a garden house that looked tasteful and comfortable. And I thought, this is actually going to be just right for me, even though it's going to be a bit of a drive. So anyway, I packed my little basket with what I needed, and I drove down on the Sunday afternoon. And, I had, at the time I was single, and I'd come out of a very long-term relationship. of 13 years, and I imagined that I was going to be by myself. And I was okay with that because I really enjoy my own company. I just knew that I have a lot of love to give. And so part of me, deep inside, I was hoping to be met spiritually and intellectually and physically by a wonderful man. And I've always been ready to love. There was nothing withholding in me. There was nothing unready, but I just didn't expect it, so to speak. Anyway, I arrived at this this Airbnb, this wonderful, big, topsy-turvy old Queenslander by Brisbane River, and I'd seen that Roberto was called Roberto because it was on his listing, and I used to live in Italy and speak the language fluently, and I assumed he was Italian, and I saw his profile picture that was of him in, I think it was in Korea with a ferret on his shoulder. So I knew that he was a somewhat eccentric man.
Everyone does it there.
After my own heart.
I'm sure.
Don't you all have a profile picture with a ferret?
We're going with it.
So I thought this is certainly someone I'd like to, I hope I get the chance to meet him. But it was a very sort of fleeting thought that I had. And as Roberto said, he never met his guests. And so fortuitously that day, it was just serendipitous timing. He was coming home. I called out his name. And one of the first things you said to me, Amore, was, how do you know how to say my name correctly? And that's when I said, well, I was assuming you were Italian, and I pronounced it the Italian way. And by that time, he'd made his way to, like he said, the car window. And, I don't think there are even words for this kind of recognition. I think people who have had the privilege of feeling it will know it, but it is an instant knowingness of a person that is so profound and completely unequivocally right, with no hesitation, a complete comfort, a complete sense of peace. And it's been like that since day one, and it continues to just evolve as a great love. I will say that I first sensed Roberto's presence as a child, which, as I was only 6 or 7 years old, and I felt a certain quality of love, and now I recognise what that is. I actually thought he was an angel, and now all these years later, I recognise that
She
love.
knows better.
I know better. I recognise
angels
that love.
Earthly angels.
Yeah, I think so, and I know that this was waiting for me, and the journeys of life that we've both had to arrive at this point have been tremendous and have prepared us for one another. And we have a very richly creative life where we share our dreams and philosophies and our ideas, and very much a pace of life, a dream of life. And when we married, we had a little engraved into Roberto's wedding ring is our little motto, which is due cuore un sogno. In Italiano vuol dire 2 hearts, 1 dream. And it's important to us because we're such individuals, but we share a dream, and each day we build on that, we grow that dream.
It's like out of a rom-com, right? You could hear the music swell as she looked up and saw Roberto, and the way she tells it with her tone of voice, it's just glorious.
Well, her books are like that.
Yeah,
I've got one on my bedside table of her books. I love her books. And I love the fact that those two work together, and he does the images.
Beautiful.
And
just a beautiful creative couple.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Imperia does in the world.
Right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. Well, thanks for listening
Tune in next week.
to Separate Bathrooms.